There's a concept that sits quietly underneath almost everything Neville Goddard ever taught. Something so foundational that once you actually understand it, every other technique, every other teaching, suddenly makes far more sense than it did before. It's called self-concept, and it might genuinely be the single most important piece of his entire body of work. Yet it's the piece most people skip past entirely, rushing straight to techniques and visualization exercises without ever addressing the actual root that determines whether any of it works in the first place. Let's start with what self-concept actually means, because it's simpler than it sounds, and also far more significant than most people realize. Your self-concept is the composite answer to the question, who am I? Not who you wish you were, not who you tell other people you are, but the actual, underlying, often unconscious belief you carry about your own identity, your capabilities, your worth, your place in the world. This isn't a single belief, it's more like a collection of assumptions that together form the overall picture you unconsciously accept as, this is who I am. Here's why this matters so much more than any individual technique or affirmation. Neville taught that every specific manifestation, every specific desire, every specific outcome you're trying to create ultimately gets filtered through your existing self-concept. If your self-concept includes the belief, I'm someone who struggles financially, you can practice visualization for a specific amount of money all you want. But that specific desire is competing against, and often losing to, the much larger, more dominant assumption about who you fundamentally believe yourself to be. Self-concept isn't one belief among many. It's the operating system everything else runs on top of. Let's make this concrete with an example. Imagine two people, both practicing identical visualization techniques, both imagining the same specific financial goal with equal detail and consistency. One person's underlying self-concept includes an assumption of being naturally resourceful, someone who figures things out, someone who's fundamentally capable. The other person's underlying self-concept includes an assumption of being someone who's never been good with money, someone who always seems to fall short despite their best efforts. Even with identical techniques, identical effort, identical specific visualization, these two people are working from fundamentally different foundations. And Neville would tell you that the deeper self-concept, not the specific technique, is what ultimately determines the actual outcome. This explains something that confuses so many people who feel like they've done everything correctly and still haven't seen results. They've addressed a single specific desire without ever examining or shifting the broader self-concept underneath it. It's a bit like trying to grow a single healthy plant in soil that's fundamentally depleted. You can plant the best seed available, water it diligently, give it perfect sunlight, but if the soil itself, the foundation everything grows from, remains unaddressed, that single plant will struggle to thrive, regardless of how much attention you give it directly. Let's talk about where self-concept actually comes from, because understanding its origin helps explain why it's often so deeply ingrained and resistant to quick, surface-level change. Your self-concept begins forming extremely early in life, shaped by how you were treated, what you were told, what you observed in the people around you, what experiences reinforced certain conclusions about who you were and what you were capable of. A child repeatedly told they're not good at something often internalizes that as a fact about their identity, not just a comment about a specific skill. A child who consistently felt overlooked often internalizes a self-concept of being someone who doesn't quite matter, an assumption that can persist for decades, quietly shaping decisions and relationships long after the original experiences are forgotten. This is why self-concept operates so much more powerfully than a single affirmation or a single visualization session. You're not just trying to convince yourself of one new idea. You're attempting to shift a deeply layered, often unconscious identity structure that's been reinforced, sometimes for decades, through countless repeated experiences, each one adding another layer of confirmation to the original belief. This is also exactly why Neville placed such enormous emphasis on this concept, because he understood that surface-level techniques, without addressing self-concept, often produce temporary, shallow results at best. Let's talk about how to actually identify your own self-concept in specific areas of your life, because this requires honest, sometimes uncomfortable self-examination. Rather than looking at what you consciously say you believe about yourself, look instead at your recurring patterns, your habitual reactions, the assumptions embedded in how you talk about yourself, even casually, even jokingly. If you consistently joke about being unlucky in relationships, if you consistently downplay your own achievements, if you consistently expect disappointment before it even happens, these patterns are clues pointing toward the actual self-concept operating beneath your conscious awareness. Regardless of what you might say if directly asked, what do you believe about yourself? I want to walk through a specific area where self-concept plays an enormous role: financial identity. If someone's self-concept includes an underlying assumption of not being naturally good with money, this doesn't just affect how they feel about their bank account, it actively shapes their decisions, their negotiations, their willingness to ask for what they're worth, their comfort level discussing money openly, their tendency to either avoid financial planning entirely or obsess over it anxiously. Every one of these behaviors reinforces the original self-concept, creating a self-perpetuating cycle that feels, from the inside, like simply accurate self-knowledge, rather than a changeable assumption that's been quietly shaping outcomes the entire time. Let's talk about how Neville actually taught people to work with self-concept, because this is where the practical application becomes genuinely important. He taught that changing self-concept requires the same fundamental process as changing any specific assumption. Deliberately, consistently, imagining and feeling a new identity, until that new identity becomes as natural and automatic as the old one used to be. But because self-concept operates at a deeper, more foundational level than a single specific desire, this process typically requires more sustained, more patient practice than addressing a single isolated goal. Here's a crucial distinction Neville emphasized. Working on self-concept isn't about convincing yourself of something you don't believe through repeated denial of your current reality. It's about deliberately choosing which underlying identity you're going to consistently practice inhabiting, moving forward, regardless of what your current circumstances currently reflect. If your current self-concept includes being someone who struggles financially, the work isn't pretending your bank account is different than it currently is. It's deliberately, repeatedly practicing the feeling of being someone who is naturally resourceful and capable, until that new identity becomes the dominant automatic assumption operating beneath your specific financial decisions and behaviors. Let's talk about why this process takes real patience, more so than working with a single, specific visualization. Self-concept isn't a single belief you can address in one sitting. It's a composite structure, built from countless reinforcing experiences over years, sometimes decades. Shifting it genuinely requires consistent, repeated practice, returning again and again to the new identity you're deliberately choosing, even when old patterns resurface, even when specific circumstances haven't yet caught up to reflect the shift happening beneath the surface. This is fundamentally different from expecting a single week of visualization to completely transform decades worth of accumulated self-concept. I want to address something important here, because working on self-concept can initially feel almost dishonest, like you're lying to yourself about who you actually are. This discomfort makes sense, because you're essentially challenging an identity structure that's felt like simple, factual self-knowledge for potentially your entire life. But Neville's teaching suggests that your current self-concept was never actually a fixed, permanent fact about reality. It was always simply the accumulated result of repeated past experience and assumption, which means it's genuinely changeable through the same mechanism that originally created it. Consistent, repeated experience, just deliberately directed now, rather than passively absorbed as it was originally. Let's talk about the specific practice of shifting self-concept, because this deserves real, practical explanation. Start by identifying one specific area where you suspect your self-concept might be limiting you: financial identity, relationship identity, professional identity, whatever area feels most relevant to examine honestly. Rather than trying to address a single specific outcome within that area, focus instead on the underlying identity. Who would I need to believe myself to be for different outcomes to naturally follow in this area of my life? Then, consistently, patiently, practice imagining and feeling yourself as that specific identity, not through forced, mechanical repetition of words, but through genuine, felt immersion, ideally combined with the relaxed, receptive states we've discussed in previous videos, right before sleep, right after waking, when your critical, analytical resistance is naturally reduced. I also want to mention something crucial about consistency across your entire day, not just during dedicated practice sessions. If you spend a few minutes each night imagining a new financial identity, but then spend the rest of your day speaking about yourself in old, limiting terms, making jokes that reinforce the old self-concept, reacting from old, familiar patterns, you're essentially working against your own progress. Real shift requires bringing awareness to how you're reinforcing either the old or new self-concept throughout your ordinary, everyday moments, not just during formal, dedicated practice. Let's talk about why this concept, more than perhaps any other single piece of Neville's teaching, genuinely explains why some people experience rapid, significant transformation across multiple areas of their life simultaneously, while others struggle to shift even a single specific circumstance despite consistent effort. When you successfully shift your underlying self-concept, rather than just addressing one isolated desire, you're not just changing a single outcome, you're changing the foundation that every specific outcome in that area of your life grows from. This is why working on self-concept, though requiring more patience and depth than a single visualization technique, tends to produce far more comprehensive, far more lasting transformation across your life overall. I want to be honest about something important here too. Shifting a deeply ingrained self-concept isn't typically instant or effortless, especially for identity beliefs that have been reinforced for decades. This process often requires sustained, patient practice over weeks and months, sometimes longer, particularly for self-concept beliefs connected to significant formative experiences from earlier in your life. This isn't meant to discourage you. It's meant to set a realistic, honest expectation. Because understanding that genuine transformation takes sustained effort helps prevent the common mistake of giving up too early, right before real change was actually beginning to take hold beneath the visible surface. So here's how you can actually begin applying this understanding. Starting today. Choose one specific area of your life where you suspect your self-concept might be limiting you more than you've previously realized. Honestly examine the patterns, the habitual reactions, the casual comments you make about yourself in that area, looking for clues about the actual underlying self-concept operating beneath your conscious awareness. Once identified, deliberately construct a new alternative identity you'd prefer to embody in that specific area. And begin consistently, patiently, practicing the genuine feeling of that new identity, particularly during naturally relaxed, receptive states, while also bringing awareness to how you're speaking about and reacting from that identity throughout your ordinary, everyday moments. I want to leave you with this final thought. So much of manifestation advice focuses on specific techniques for specific desires. Visualize this particular outcome, feel this particular scene, repeat this particular affirmation, without ever addressing the deeper foundation those specific practices are actually built upon. Self-concept is that foundation, the quiet, often unconscious answer to who am I, that ultimately determines whether any specific technique produces lasting, genuine transformation, or simply temporary, surface-level shifts that eventually fade back into old, familiar patterns. If you've been practicing specific techniques without addressing this deeper identity level work, this might genuinely be the missing piece, the teaching most people skip past entirely, yet the one that ultimately determines whether everything else you're practicing actually takes root, or simply remains a hopeful gesture toward change that never quite reaches its own foundation.